This is a Film Stories original podcast.
We made this.
Welcome back, everyone, to the X-Cast. The truth is in here. I'm your host, Tony Black, and this is I Want to Believe Minute, where we unpick the second X-Files movie 1 minute at a time. Today, helping me explore minute 10, the last in our block together, which runs for approximately 9 minutes, where Scully tells Mulder she begins to tell Mulder she's worried about him, to 9 minutes 59, as Mulder says to Scully, under one condition, is writer and podcaster Adam Chamberlain back again. Thanks for coming back, Adam, and we're going to wrap this block up together. It's been a lot of fun.
It has indeed, yeah. Thank you for having me back again. I can't believe it's, these minutes go very quickly.
They do.
Too quickly.
They do fly, yeah, too fast. But we were in the thick of the conversation between Mulder and Scully in the last minute or two in his study, and she finished the last minute by saying the phrase, I know I don't have to say this, but which was a good cliffhanger moment. But she's then compelling him, making the point, an agent's life's at risk, and that could have been she or he at that point. That could have been them, where they needed the help of someone because they were in danger. So it's appealing to Mulder's that moral side of Mulder and that history as an FBI agent, really.
Yes, absolutely, and it feels. It feels right that I think they would both ultimately respond to that still. Yeah. They're still, exactly.
Even though circumstances have put them on different paths, they still have that within them, that FBI agent within them. But she's more worried about his mental health at this point, I think. She talks about how she's worried about the effects of long-term isolation on him, which, again, suggests that he doesn't get out of this place very much. But what did you make of that?
Yeah, so actually it makes me reflect back to your question in one of the previous minutes there about whether Mulder goes out investigating on his own. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just sat here. He's got to get these newspapers from somewhere, unless he has Scully bring them home every day.
Probably. That's probably what he does.
But clearly, again, it makes sense to have that concern about him. I think that very much so, that if he's been secreted away for all this time and clearly is still quite obsessive on this stuff, that she would have that concern.
I think he acts like a typical bloke, though, in the sense that he's I'm fine. I think he says, I'm happy as a clam.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And then he grabs a sunflower seed. Pops it in his mouth, a whole bowl of sunflower seeds, which was obviously his trademark, snack during the run of the show, which I think he got from his dad, wasn't it? I think Bill Mulder liked sunflower seeds. I'm sure he picked that up from his dad.
Oh, now you've said that, I think you're right.
I think so. Right. He mentions that, but yeah. So it's just, that's a typical sort of male response. I think it's just that I'm all right. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. But Scully being a woman out in the world doing a normal job, really. I mean, she's a doctor. She's doing she's living a normal human life apart from him. So it makes sense, really.
A clam's happy, though? I don't know. Happy as a clam? I've never understood that phrase.
Yeah, I don't know.
There we go. I guess they must be.
I don't know where that comes from. And in an exciting bit of on the spot research, I'm gonna find out. I'm going to find out, thanks to the wonders of Google.
I've just Googled it as you were talking, actually, so I might have beaten you to it. So it's happy as a clam at high water is the full term.
Oh.
And the connection there is, so clams are collected during low tide. So during high tide, they're safe from fishermen. So, well, there you go. So maybe he thinks he's safe from being caught. And that's why he's happy as a clam.
That's it. And I would say, Adam, we are the first people to ever dissect that on a podcast in relation to the X-Files. I'm going to put money on this.
Exclusive.
Yeah, he's an exclusive. So very good. But yeah, he's He's happy with his sunflower seeds and his other references to previous episodes. So when Scully's about to go, she looks up at the ceiling, and what's on there? Pencils stuck to the ceiling, which is a reference, I think, to Chinga, the episode in season 5, which I think is where.
Yeah.
I think that's the one, because that's the one where Scully's, because it's the Stephen King partly written episode where she's in New England and Maine. Sorry, she's in Maine and with the evil killer doll, and he's stuck in the office. I think, isn't it?
Great episode. Yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
I want to play. Ooh, chilling stuff.
Don't you creep me out. Going over that line. Still creeps me out, that line.
I know, terrifying stuff. But yeah, the pencil. I mean, that feels like a classic sort of example of like fan service, doesn't it? You know, having that there. That and the sunflower seeds. They're all winks to the character that we know and love, and that kind of thing just doesn't in any way need to be there, does it? But it's there for us, basically.
It doesn't, but it also, I think it also works for the new audiences because you get an idea of his eccentricities and what have you for someone new. But then, of course, if you've seen this stuff before, then it just makes you happy to see the stuff brought back.
Yeah, I think he is eccentric. That's the thing, isn't it? He's proper eccentric. But yeah, Scully sort of leaves him. He's sort of saying no, I'm not going to do it, and then Scully leaves. She's like, okay, you know, she heads off, and he's left thinking, isn't he? And that's when he looks, and we talked about Samantha in an earlier minute, but he looks at the Samantha photo, and like we said, it goes back to the core essence of Mulder and that feeling. But I think it's more about the whole idea that, you know, by looking at that photo of Samantha, he's reminded of the quest, isn't he? He's reminded of being out there, you know.
Yeah, the quest, and maybe actually of the loss. And again, we're talking about an agent potentially dying here, a potential death and loss that someone else may have to suffer. Perhaps it's partly that as well. Again, interestingly, in the script, he looks to the poster. There's no reference to the photo at all, and it's the "I want to believe" poster that has him have that reaction. I think this is more effective and to make it more personal and to make it about seeing the picture of Samantha.
I agree, and maybe looking at the poster would have been a bit too on the nose in terms of the film as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Although I don't know if they'd. I mean, was the script? I haven't looked at the script yet, but was it named "I Want to Believe" the script as the movie?
Yes. So the copy of the script that I have, it states it's a final shooting script.
Okay. Right.
Well. I know. I say that. Hang on. Yeah. There's a header page that says the X-Files. I Want to Believe final shooting script, but then there's a second page that also says final shooting script where it's called Untitled X-Files Sequel. So who knows?
Who knows? But I'm sure that title was in their mind, wasn't it? Really, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I think it works better from that emotional place for Mulder as well. Yeah, to be looking at Samantha, I think that's a good change. Definitely that they put in. Next to her, I could only make out one clipping because it sort of goes in a bit closer at that point. And the only clipping I could make out as a headline was "American astronauts witness UFOs."
There you go. It feels very 2023. That does.
It does actually. That's very true. Exactly. What would Mulder be making of all this now? That guy who went to Congress and he sat there and he said, "Oh yeah, you know, there are aliens here, there, and everywhere." Yeah.
I sometimes think that's one of the sort of strands of the X-Files that hasn't dated so well. But then, like you say, that those hearings come up and you think, oh no, absolutely, you could still tell these kind of stories. Yeah. And well, clearly we need Mulder and Scully back. Clearly. I
think we do. And you know, maybe it's happening. We don't know. It could be. But yeah. Next to that though, there's a nice. We talked about the artwork earlier by heavily by the artist Monica Reyes, but also there's a piece of work by Doug Copeland, who also worked on the show, which is also exhibited at Reyes' gallery in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. But there's a nice link between these things in that Carter talks about how he wrote. There's a post-it note on that piece of artwork that he wrote that says "Hey Nostradamus," which is a book that Copeland wrote, wasn't it? So it's a nice little connective there, little in joke and wink.
Yeah, indeed, and I don't know how much to take from that. I had to go and look this up in preparation from this, because I'd not picked that up. But that book, it highlights. So it's based on first-person narratives of the victims, from the victims' perspectives, about a school shooting in Vancouver, and the focus upon a victim of a violent crime again feels very, very relevant to the story here. So it is a nice link.
Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? But that's the thing. He peppers so much of these things with winks to people and nods and everything like that. It's very good. And there's all that kind of thing in there. But yeah, that book sounds very, in some ways, a thematic link to I Want to Believe in some way. So that's really interesting the way these things are there. But very, very things that you wouldn't know unless you listen to the commentary.
There you go.
Yeah, it's very good. And then, so the scene starts to come to an end where Scully's about to head off and about to leave, and then Mulder comes back out. He's had a rethink, and he says, "Okay, I'll go with you on one condition," and that's where it ends. But apparently, he did various different takes of this. David Duchovny. I think there were about 5. I think they must have presumably said improvise this. Although, can you remember if this is scripted in any way, Adam? This moment.
Yeah, he just says under one condition. Scully smiles, but in trepidation. That's all it says. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So he must have done multiple takes of that line then. In that case, of how he said it in his, because obviously Duchovny's quite famous for improvising various different things. Some of the most famous moments in the X-Files, he's definitely improvised at points. So, yeah, presumably he didn't improvise it, but he did it in various different ways. And this was the take that they decided to go with, basically, where he says that. But
so what's the condition? I won't know, because that's the end of the minute, right?
Wow.
So who knows?
And you haven't watched any of the rest of the film, Adam. So
so I shared this with you before. So I sat down. I'd had quite a long bruising week at work, and sat down last night. Finally, I'm like, okay, I need to. I sat down with my legal pad to make a few notes and stuff, and got to the end, got to this moment, and I'm like, I love this movie so much. There's no way. I'm tired, but I don't care. I love this movie so much. I'm just going to watch the rest of the movie now, and I did, and had a few drinks and stuff, and loved it. So I do know what happens next, I have to say. But
yeah,
there we go.
I am very happy. It led to a full rewatch. That's very, very good. That's good.
So am I.
Good way to unwind after a difficult week. Watching some X-Files. But yeah, it obviously leaves things on a little bit of a cliffhanger. But I won't be back next time to pick this up. It will be a different host, one of the team, and also a different guest. So obviously you talked in the minute 6 about what you're up to and some of the things you have going on. But remind people, ideally, what you're up to, really, what's happening with you. And where people can find you online if they want to follow you and keep track of what you're up to.
Sure, yeah, thanks. So if you want to find me, I am on, I have to call it X. I still refer to Twitter, but if I'm going to refer to it as X anywhere, it has to be on this podcast, right? So you can find me on X at Adam_Chamberlain, but the name's shortened at the end, so it's BRLN at the end. So you can find me there. I'm also on Instagram and Threads, Adam M. Chamberlain there. But probably of more interest than me is the stuff that I do with Fourth Horseman Press. So I'm the associate publisher at Fourth Horseman Press, a small independent press that was founded and is run by Brian A. Dixon. And so you can find us at fourthhorsemanpress.com. We are also on X at Fourth Horse Press, the number 4 we use there, and you'll find us on Instagram and Facebook and Threads. And you can also find our podcast, so that's linked to from the website, but on any podcast platform, if you look up Fourth Horseman Press, you will find us there. We talk to our authors about various titles. You will find a little way back in the run a series of podcasts that you were very kind about in my first minute, Tony, where we talked about Back to Frank Black, which was the book that we brought out 11 years ago now on Millennium, and we speak to a number of our authors about that, and I would hope that would be of interest and to folks who are listening here, we inevitably talk about the X-Files as well as Millennium on that podcast too. So that's where you can find me. That's what I'm broadly up to.
Fantastic. As I said in the earlier minute, guys, please do go and check out what Adam's up to. It is excellent stuff, and all his podcasts and everything he's involved with is fantastic. So thanks again, Adam. It's been terrific. We will do this again for sure. Really appreciate you coming on the show, and I will be back further down the road. I will be back on I Want to Believe Minute. I'm going to take a little bit of a break now and pass the baton on to a few other hosts for a while, but you'll be able to find me a little bit down the road talking about some more I Want to Believe. But until then, remember, you can find the show at linktr.ee/thexcast with all the links to everything we're on. So please do give us a follow on all those platforms. Please do follow me at linktr.ee/AJ Blackwriter. Please give the show a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever platform you're on. And if you want early access to episodes and all these kind of things, bonus content, please do follow our Patreon and support us keeping the show going at patreon.com/thexcast. So I'll be back soon, and the show will be back for minute 11 coming very, very soon. But until then, thanks again for listening, and always remember, trust no one.